for every 5 to 6 grams of. If a patient with melanoma is getting treated with immunotherapy, a reduced mortality by 30%. When you actually have immunotherapy, you can take people with stage 3 and even stage 4 cancer. That's like end stage, game over, no win situation cancer. And you can, with your own immune system jacked up, you can actually tackle that cancer and you can turn stage 4 to stage 0. In an experiment, if you allow to reach and touch and start feeding tiny microscopic cancer, you know what? It can grow 16,000 times in size in just 2 weeks. So what are the foods can help your gut microbiome? Foods with, hi, Dr. Lee here. I'm a cancer researcher. I'm also an angiogenesis researcher. It means I study your circulation. And today I'm going to actually talk about how we treat colon cancer. There's a lot of different ways to do it. First, you got to detect colon cancer, ideally screen for it early with colonoscopy. I did another video where I talked about colonoscopy, but basically this is where people at the age of 50, and now we are thinking of even younger because we're seeing colon cancer, cancer of the lower bowel, actually developing in younger and younger people. But basically a gastroenterologist will take a look through a scope through your colon and to see if they see any polyps which can turn into cancers or cancers themselves. Now, earlier you find the cancer, the easier it is to treat. Surgery can be curative. Colon cancer, if it's actually caught early, you can just snip out the piece of the colon that has the cancer in it. Now, chemotherapy has always been the mainstay, the backbone for treating all cancers, including colon cancer. But what's exciting is that there have been an evolution of treating colon cancer, and every patient needs to know about this because most people who are told that they have colon cancer and other cancers basically just resign themselves and are scared of just getting chemo, okay? So I want to say to deal with cancer, we can use surgery, right? If you remove the cancer, it's out of your body, that is a really good definitive way to actually deal with the cancer. Just take it out. We can use radiation. Radiation is a pretty fast way to control a growth of a tumor. So sometimes you can combine radiation with other forms of treatment like chemo. Now, chemotherapy, most people recognize chemotherapy and are afraid of chemotherapy, but I'll tell you, chemotherapy can actually work really well, all right? Basically, you're giving these medications that are very toxic to cancer cells, and they kill cancer cells. And you can gang it up with radiation. Chemo radiation actually can be a powerful 1-2 punch against a cancer. The reason that many people are afraid of chemotherapy, and many people tolerate it for quite a while, is, and usually pretty well in the beginning, is because in order to kill the cancer cell, these drugs, chemo drugs, also kill other cells, anything that's in their path. The cancer cells will get it hardest, but your regular cells will also get knocked down as well. So you got to, kill more bad guys than good guys. The good cells, the side effects of chemo are kind of a collateral damage, right? So it's a bummer. Nobody wants that, but that's where the transformation, the evolution started really in the 1990s and early 2000s. There started to be a revolution in understanding the targets, the cellular and molecular pathways that cancers use to grow. So we used to just think about it as a lump and a bunch of abnormal cells you can see under the microscope. Now we know that there are specific pathways that are at work in colon cancer and other cancers as well. So when we can find the smoking gun, the genetic mutation, that's a smoking gun. If there are now a growing number of medications that actually go in like a homing missile right after that mutation, maybe it's EGF mutation, for example, all right? You can go right after that with an EGF inhibitor. So maybe it's blood vessels that are growing, all right? We can target those blood vessels. It's called anti-angiogenic. That's medicine that's designed to cut off the blood supply. I was involved with the very first anti-angiogenic cancer-starving treatments that were developed. The first one, it was in colorectal cancer, and that was shown in 2003, and the FDA approved it in 2004. And that was really a turning point in the war against cancer, because suddenly we had a brand new way to target cancers, that not with chemo, but cutting off the blood supply as another way to actually come at the cancer, right? So surgery, chemo, radiation, anti-angiogenesis, and targeted therapies to cut off the blood supply to tumors. Now, there's some new developments that I think are very, very exciting, and that's immunotherapy, immune therapy. So what is immunotherapy? Well, immunotherapy is a treatment that it's not chemo. It's a treatment that actually activates your own immune system to go after the cancer, right? It activates one of your body's own defenses, which is your immune system. Now, in my book, Eat to Beat Disease, I write about your body's 5 health defense systems: angiogenesis, your stem cells, your gut microbiome, which can lower inflammation as a way of fighting cancer, your DNA protection, and your immune system. And your immune system is literally an army of super soldiers that patrols your body at all times looking for trouble. And when I say looking for trouble, they are like cops on a beat, policemen cruising through the neighborhood, making sure there is no trouble, but they're looking for trouble. If they spot it, they'll right to the site and they'll take out the problem. And that problem in your body could be a microscopic cancer. All right. So your immune system is responsible for spotting and knocking out little tiny microscopic cancers long before they can grow a blood supply to become a problem. Now, I can tell you the blood supply issue is a really major one. All right. Now, I was trained in a lab that studied blood vessels and tumors. And it turns out if you prevent blood vessels from touching a tumor, which is what your body tries to do, it can't grow. Okay. It can get about to 2 to 3 millimeters in diameter. That's about the size of the tip of a ballpoint pen. Okay. Then it can't get any bigger because it doesn't have oxygen. There's no blood vessels feeding it. It doesn't get nutrients. All right. You need air and you need food in order to grow. So the cancer sits there like a small microscopic head of a pin size tumor, and your body controls it that way, and naturally anti-angiogenic. All right. Now what happens? Your immune system wings by, spots that little tiny abnormal cells, takes it right out. All right. That's actually how your body controls it. So if there's a cancer that's already grown, we can give medications for colorectal cancer that cut off the blood supply. One of them is called bevacizumab, or also known as Avastin. It cuts off the blood vessels feeding. It's approved for colorectal cancer. Also works for brain tumors, ovarian cancer, cervical cancers, lung cancers, a number of other cancers. It all actually has a benefit by cutting off the blood supply. What we found in the lab is that when you cut off the blood supply of a tumor, it can't grow. In the lab, there are research studies that have shown that if you prevent that blood vessel, the tumor, from ever getting a blood supply, it can't grow. But in an experiment, if you allow blood vessels to reach and touch and start feeding tiny microscopic cancer, you know what? It can grow 16,000 times in size in just 2 weeks. So angiogenesis out of control. So think about blood vessels gone wild. You've heard of girls gone wild. This is blood vessels gone wild. Feeding a cancer can cause explosive cancer growth. That's why anti-angiogenic treatments are a very important foundation now for treating colorectal cancer and other types of cancer as well. Now, I started talking about immunotherapy, and that actually is also important because the other knockout punch naturally in your body is your immune system. So immunotherapy jacks up your own immune system, all right? And when your immune system is stronger, it's like not just 2 cops and a patrol car in the neighborhood. Now you get the whole army, the whole entire police force is out. Now you've got a really, really strong army in order to be looking out for and capturing and going after those bad guys, which are your cancer cells. So immunotherapy, it is literally a transformative revolution in oncology, in the treatment of cancer. By getting your own immune system to wipe out cancer, you're able to achieve something that we only dreamed of before, which is to take the most natural process, your own immune system, raise those shields of that defense in order to be able to knock out the cancer. And by the way, we've actually been able to find that when you actually have immunotherapy, your own immune system working in the best possible way, you can take people with stage 3 and even stage 4 cancer. That's like end stage, game over, no win situation cancer. All right. And you can, with your own immune system jacked up, you can actually tackle that cancer and you can turn stage 4 to stage 0. It is not happening for everybody yet. We have a lot of work to do to figure out in research how to make more people respond. But we're beginning to discover that if you actually give people with colon cancer who are going to respond to immunotherapy, you can really have a dramatic response. There's a number of people out there on social media that are talking about their stories on immunotherapy. One of the most important ones are called checkpoint inhibitors. You've probably heard some of them talked about on commercials like Keytruda. The actual drug name is called pembrolizumab. But these checkpoint inhibitors actually, they pull the cloak off of a cancer so your immune system can spot the cancer that's been trying to hide from your immune system, and then your immune system goes after it. In order for immunotherapy to work, these checkpoint inhibitors, we know that one marker that you look for is when you get the tumor biopsy, you send it away, you're looking for markers that would suggest that you're going to benefit from immunotherapy. So there's markers like microsatellite instability. The tumor is very unstable. It's going to be more susceptible to immunotherapy. There are targets called PD-1 and PD-L1. Those are markers that the pathologist will look for after getting the biopsy, the surgical specimen. And these are things that you should ask for if you're being diagnosed with cancer, colon cancer, but other cancers. You should ask your doctor, has my tumor been sent away to see if I can be treated with immunotherapy? And for the checkpoint inhibitors, you're looking for MSI, microsatellite instability, high levels of that, MSI-H, looking for markers that suggest the tumor's cloaking itself, PD-1, PD-L1, all right? Those are some of the signals that your cancer might be amenable to immunotherapy. So immunotherapy, get an infusion for these checkpoint inhibitors, get every 3 weeks or so. You can get it alone. You can combine it with chemo. Sometimes you can double up the immunotherapy. People are really trying to figure out how to do this really, really well. Again, we don't know how to make it happen for everybody, which is really one of the huge challenges in cancer research today. But we're beginning to have some clues. One clue is that you need to have a healthy gut microbiome. Remember, your gut microbiome, these 39 trillion bacteria that live in your gut, in your colon, in the cecum, which is a pouch in your colon, actually do really good things for us. They lower inflammation, which is really, really important, help improve our metabolism. The gut and brain are connected. They even help us be in a better mood. But here's the thing. There was a research study that was done in 2017 looking at people that were getting cancer patients who were getting immunotherapy, these checkpoint inhibitors. And what was found is that there were people that responded, meaning that they did really well, their immune system jacked up and knocked out the cancer. And there were people who didn't do so well, all right? And they were non-responders, okay? And nobody understood why. And when the research which was performed at the Institut Gustave Roussy by my colleague, Dr. Laurence Zitvogel, looked at the differences between responders and non-responders. You know what she found? She found there were bacteria that made the difference. All right. It wasn't genetics. It wasn't lifestyle. It was a bacteria. And one of the bacteria that was discovered, I'm sure you've heard me talk about this before, is called Akkermansia mucinophila. Akkermansia mucinophila. And in that study, which is published in the journal Science, the patients who had Akkermansia tended to respond to immunotherapy. Very important. Single bacteria can make the difference between responding, and the people who didn't have it tended not to respond. Man, is that an important finding. Like, it was a jaw-dropping finding because we started to realize just how powerful our gut bacteria might actually be. Now, in 2017, there weren't really any probiotics you could take. And so the way the research was conducted was the researcher, Dr. Zitvogel, took the Akkermansia from patients who responded and transplanted it in the lab to animals who didn't have Akkermansia and who weren't responding to immunotherapy in the lab. And guess what? When you transplanted the human Akkermansia to the animal, boom, the animal would begin to respond to immunotherapy. That's a pretty good piece of evidence, that this bacteria becomes really important. Now, how do you grow Akkermansia naturally? It's naturally a healthy gut bacteria. We know that you can give allagitannins. You can eat foods with allagitannins like pomegranate, like dried cranberry, like Concord grape juice. And there are other bioactives that we're beginning to discover can also grow Akkermansia. Oatmeal can grow Akkermansia, whole grain. Chili peppers, the stuff you put on a pizza, those dried chili flakes, they have been found to stimulate the growth of Akkermansia. Chinese black vinegar, that's the kind of vinegar they serve in soup dumplings. That has been shown to grow Akkermansia as well. We don't have all the answers of how to do everything for Akkermansia, and now you can take a probiotic as well. But I can tell you that this is the kind of research that is moving us forward. First, we have immunotherapy. Then we look at the responders. Then we find a bacteria. Now we're understanding how to nurture the bacteria. Now we're going to have a probiotic to help it. So in the future, what I anticipate, what I forecast, is that we're actually going to be combining probiotic therapy and microbiome nurturing along with immunotherapy. And this is really going to be really a very, very powerful partnership. Your gut bacteria working with your immune system. Oh, didn't I tell you your gut microbiome and your immune system are 2 of your 5 health defenses? See, this is all about helping the body unleash its own healing and disease fighting capabilities, right? And we're beginning to find this now. So what are the foods that actually can help your gut microbiome? Foods with polyphenols, colorful foods, whole plant-based foods. When you go to the produce section of the grocery store, the farmer's market, all those colorfuls, bell peppers, berries, all the different colorful greens that are out there packed with polyphenols, all right? Those actually are really help the growth of healthy bacteria. But dietary fiber is particularly important. In fact, one study showed that for every 5 to 6 grams of dietary fiber, which is the amount you'd find in a medium-sized pear, if a patient with melanoma is getting treated with immunotherapy, it reduced mortality by 30%. So these are very important little tips that can actually make, with food, that can make the drugs that are the cutting edge of cancer therapy work even better. That's not food versus medicine. That's food and medicine. And I'm a big believer that the right medicine for the right person at the right time can be life-saving and is absolutely important for the medical community to use to help patients. But what patients do for themselves when they're not at the doctor's office and at home, looking in the pantry or at the stovetop or looking in the fridge, that can be absolutely vital for helping your body's health defenses get stronger so that your own body is able to amplify whatever it is the drugs are designed to do. All right. Very, very important thing. If you're a cancer patient, you should ask your doctor, beyond surgery, beyond chemotherapy, beyond radiation, what else is out there for me? Can I get a cancer starving anti-angiogenic treatment? Is there another targeted treatment I should have? Has my tumor been sent for analysis to see if I'm eligible? Am I likely to respond to immunotherapy? Can I get an immune boosting treatment so my own body can fight the cancer in a jacked up sort of way? All right. You should ask about that, right? Like anybody with cancer should be asking, can I get immunotherapy? And looking it up. There are lots of clinical trials now as well. So if you go to clinicaltrials.gov, that's a website, and you type your cancer of interest and immunotherapy, you can do your own search to see what kinds of clinical trials are actually going on. All right. So I'm not telling you that there's a definitive answer. I'm telling you we are at the point where things look so promising that we have to actually go after that direction of hope that's real, which is immunotherapy. And foods that you eat, the polyphenols, the dietary fiber, all right, can amplify your gut bacteria, gut microbiome, lowering inflammation. So this is exciting. This is important. Cancer is a very scary topic, but I just wanted to share with you, as somebody who is a doctor, who is a researcher, who's been involved with cancer research and cancer drug development, I'm going to tell you, there's never a good time to actually have a cancer diagnosis. But now people who are facing cancer, who are being treated with cancers, have real hope. And it's up to you to advocate for yourself with your doctor to look for those right treatments, including immunotherapy. All right. Now, not everyone's eligible for it, but you should definitely ask. All right. And see if you can get it. And it's up to you to know that the foods that you eat, those anti-inflammatory foods, whole plant-based foods, actually can ramp up your immune defenses and your gut microbiome to tip the odds in your favor. Now, if you like this video, please subscribe, hit the like button. There's a lot more I can talk about this topic. Let me know if you want to hear more about cancer research. There's so much to talk about. So again, hit the like button, subscribe, and check out my next video. Dr. Lee out. Hey, if you like that video, then you're going to love this one. Check it out.